So I want to take a few moments and talk to you about finances in relationship to preparation for marriage or a relationship, a partnership, moving in together, living together. I was just a few days ago with my wife purchasing something from a young couple. They were just recently engaged, were getting ready to get married and starting their life out. And so I had the chance to chat with them about some of the importance of finances. I offered to visit with them, give them some coaching opportunity together to talk about some of those things. Also encouraged that they need to get a premarital counselor, someone who is trained and has experience by actually coaching people, counseling people about in preparation for marriage or partnership. So that would be a pastor, a priest. That would be someone who is a family life counselor, a psychologist, someone who has experience of doing this on a regular basis. So I wouldn't go to someone who just started. I would want to go to someone who has years of experience, who've talked to a lot of couples, who understand the issues, has had training to understand how to communicate with a couple and what are those issues they need to identify that are important to them in a relationship. And so I wanted to take a moment and just record a video about some of the issues involved with relationships in preparation for sharing in an intimate relationship, in a serious relationship. Now, I'm not, understand my context of what I'm going to say. And for the purpose of what I'm sharing in this video, a serious relationship I'm going to define in this video is one where you're going to at least be moving in together to live together in that intimate relationship. We're not talking about just being roommates and your friend's going to share some bills. We're talking about you're going to be in an intimate relationship, partnership, or engagement leading to marriage or marriage. And so we're going to talk about specifically, this is not finances in marriage, though it applies. We're going to talk to you about the preparation for money in premarital or pre-partnership relationship time. So as you're preparing for this major move, or you're in that serious stages right before the wedding, you need to go get a marriage counselor if you don't have one. And you need to find someone who's going to be able to help you walk through the issues that would arise and that you need to discuss and come to terms and recognition with each other, agreement with each other on the areas of sexuality, on the areas of child rearing and whether you're going to have children, when they're going to come along, how you're going to raise those children, in areas of how you're going to deal with your extended family relationships. That's very important. It can cause stress if not handled well, and be healthy. You're going to need to deal with the areas of finance, and we're going to come back to that one in just a few moments because that's really what this is about. You want to talk about roles in the relationship. Who's going to assume what type of role? What kind of duties, responsibilities, chores are you going to each take on? What are your expectations? How is that affected by your family of origin as you're coming into this new relationship and from your experiences of adulthood and previous relationships? So those are all important things. There's many more. Your education and compatibility intellectually, socially, your friendships, outside of the relation, previous dating or marriage or serious relationship partners. All of those things are important. You need to work through this stuff and be open and honest with each other. So when we're talking about money in preparation, so you need to be talking about how you're going to handle your money. Who is going to balance the checkbook? Who's going to handle the budget? Who's going to pay the bills? What bills are you going to have? How are you going to merge your finances together? What kind of checking situation and saving situations are you going to have a set up? Is it going to be joint or are you going to have your own individual? How are you going to file your taxes? Joint, individual, married, filing separately. What are the methods that you're going to go for with that? So you may have extra experience, one of you more than the other. I want to speak a moment for the young women. So I, as a financial advisor, have interacted with countless number of women who, when I talk to them about investing or finances, they say, well, I really don't know anything about that. I'm really not interested. My husband deals with all of that. I don't know anything about it. So I want to talk about this. This is such a common thing. And there's still today, there is a lot in culture that teaches young girls and young women that investing is a man's job. That's part of the reason why in my industry as a financial advisor and a stockbroker, that the overwhelming is male. Because they're young women are taught and trained, that's not a job for you. It's not the kind of job you should be a part of. You should be a nurse, or you should be a secretary. You should be a teacher, or whatever it happens to be. And there are societal expectations, as wrong as they may be, they still exist. And you may have heard that. So why I want to tell you, your husband or the person who you're going to be married to or in a partnership with, this individual may be better at you at money. That may be true. They may know more. They may have more experience. They may have just more interest. My wife has zero interest in investing in the money, really. She wants to make sure we have enough money. She wants to make sure we're invested well. We're preparing for the future. She wants to make sure we have money when she needs to spend it. That's what she cares about. The rest, she could care less about it, so I handle it. And I like it. I'm passionate about it. It's what I do. It's what I enjoy. And I like to be able to coach people. And I've been doing that for a long time. So my wife and I work out a very simple thing and how we do that. And we agree on that. But here's what I want to tell you. My wife knows what's going on. She understands it. I sit down and explain it. We have a personal financial statement we do every month. We do it also quarterly and yearly. We go over these items together. She knows where we're at on our investments. She knows what's happening from our businesses. She knows what's happening with all of the stuff that's going on, the different sources of income, how it's being spent, what bills there are, all of this. So she knows all of that, and she should. If I were to die, she's going to then be responsible for that. She needs to know what's going on. She needs to know about the life insurance. She needs to know about the investments. She needs to know who the different partners are. She needs to know all the things involved with our entire financial picture, because someday she may be alone and have to take care of that. Hopefully that's a very long time from now, but there's always the potential. I could die in a car wreck. I could have a heart attack, or some other possibility someone could murder me. There's a whole range of things that could happen. So what I'd say to you, young women, is you need to understand that even if you don't want to run it and you want to let your partner, your husband manage that. That goes for guys as well. Just because it's not a skill doesn't mean you don't need to be intelligent in that area. You definitely do. You need to educate yourself. You need to be a part of the process, engaging, making decisions. That's part of what it means to blend your life together, to become a real partnership or a marriage relationship. Is you're going to be blending all of aspects of that. And it will only be able to be successful to the extent that you're willing to truly join yourselves together and actually blend your lives together in a complete way. So one of the things that I want to share with you, what I share with couples when I'm coaching in preparation for marriage, is some of the warning signs. So every relationship hits bumps, ups and downs. We have good days, bad days, good years, bad years, etc. We can weather any storm in our relationships. When one, we're committed to that relationship. Two, it is built on absolute trust and security that you know that even if you blow it, even if things go bad, even if it's difficult, that the other person's not going to bail. You can trust in them that they're going to be there. That's what commitment is about. That's what it means. Commitment seems to be something people have really forgotten the real meaning of that today, but commitment is a serious thing. And so if you want a substantial relationship, one that lasts time and through all the difficulties that you can really trust in and build, you got to build a relationship that is built on trust and communication. You've got to be willing and provide that environment that your partner and your marriage, your husband or wife knows that no matter what happens, you're not going to bail on the relationship because things went bad or because they blew it. We're all ornery. We're all difficult to get along with, no matter what we think about ourselves. We always think we're better than we actually are. The truth is we're all difficult to deal with. And the reality is we've got to learn how to navigate that relationship in the context of security. That's the point of this. Otherwise, if there's no security, might as well just go have a one-night stand and just go have sex around with whoever you want. So the purpose of an intimate relationship like this, committed relationships, is the point of commitment. It is that security, that protection, that you know you have someone to come home to, that when things go bad, when you've blown it and you feel horrible and you don't want to talk to anyone, that you know that you have someone there who's with you all along it, and they will go through every difficulty together. So this is a very important thing. And what I would say to you is that every situation can be weathered when you will actually talk. Now, the statistics, all the surveys go in tracking marriage, why people end the divorce, why relationships break up. And the top of the line is finances and sexuality. But here's what I want to say to you. Relationships don't break up for these things. They break up for one reason, and that is a failure to communicate. We can get through any sexual problem. They happen to every relationship. As the relationship matures, as the body changes with time, there are challenges to every relationship. our desires change, our drives change, our abilities change. It happens. So sexuality is not the problem. The challenges in sexuality are not the problem. The lack of communication authentically, openly, trustingly, securely with each other is what causes this problem. So then when we fail to communicate, then we have expectations, feelings get hurt, the expectations are disappointed, and we are unwilling to communicate with each other, or we're not able to communicate with each other because the situation in the relationship. And as a result, every minor problem, every minor inconvenience, every minor disagreement becomes huge in the mind, and eventually a relationship will get to the point where it deteriorates so bad that it cannot stay together. It's the same in money. But the reality is, if you would just really openly communicate on everything with each other, you will get through every challenge the relationship will have. This has to do with money. So start your relationship now. Build it on trust. Build it on openness. You may be afraid prior to marriage and your partnership joining together, moving in together, etc. You may be afraid to tell the truth about where you're at financially. Do not be afraid. If you can't trust that person to have an authentic conversation safely, then that's a serious warning sign that I mentioned earlier, a warning sign that when I coach couples, I tell them, if you can't talk together, or if it's not safe, if the other person is not willing to listen or not willing to communicate, if they explode, if they attack you, etc., if they threaten you, and if there is physical violence or threats at all, then you are in the wrong relationship and you need to get out fast. But in a healthy relationship, with healthy individual, and you're building that kind of relationship, you got to build that on trust. You got to build it with communication. So talk together, go over every aspect of your finance, build a budget that is realistic, that's practical, that takes your actual income you both are bringing, give your current budgets of where you're at before you're moving in together and married, or join together, and then you build a joint budget, what it would look like with the two of you together. Look at your bills. Look at all the costs and expenses you anticipate it's going to be. Where are you going to live? What's going to be the cost of that? Who's going to move in with who? Maybe you're both going to move out and go get a new place. You need to work through all of those items. How are you going to pay for the different things? Are you both going to work? What type of job are you going to have? You need to talk about all of those financial things that are current, but you need to also be looking at the future. Your 1 year, your 5 year, your 10 year, your 20 years, what it's going to be look like, how are you going to prepare for retirement, what are the transitions going to be in your relationship, how are you going to save in preparation for children and for college and all the things that will come along that you need to deal with in life. So I would encourage you, if you're engaged, if you're thinking seriously about moving in together for a committed, serious relationship, then I will encourage you that you take the time to sit down and have real, authentic conversation. I use the phrase sit down. Now, in the Bible, I was a pastor for years, 18 years, and one of the things that I used was in the book of Mark. It's a story that Jesus told, and he talks about that whenever a soldier, a king is going to go to war against another nation, that he sits down with his advisors and looks at his stuff. And then if someone is going to build a house, they need to sit down and look over the stuff. The point of this is the principle. When you take it seriously, you're going to sit down, you're going to talk, you're going to listen, you're going to work through the items. And if it gets hot, if it gets heated, you don't have to solve the problem right at that moment. Say, hey, let's take a break. We need to go for a walk. We need to go to the store. Let's go watch a movie. Let's pick this up in a few days. And let's come back at it again. Let's think about it. Let's think about solutions we can then present and discuss when we come back and discuss this again in a few days and work through this. If you do this and as you respect each other, as you listen to the other person, truly hearing what they're saying, and as you express yourself openly and you continue to build that trust by stepping out, being vulnerable, and listening and protecting that vulnerability, encouraging that vulnerability in each other, then you're going to find that you can build a relationship that will truly last, one that you will be excited about, one you will be anxious to tell your friends and family about, and one that you will be anxious to spend together in for the rest of your life. And that's a wonderful thing when you find that and when you build that. But it doesn't just happen, it takes intentional effort. And you have to do that in your finances as well as everything else. This doesn't just happen and take care of itself. You've got to be intentional. You've got to take the initiative. And I would encourage you to start today with taking that initiative.